Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Happy Friday the 13th. It is 12:45 on the clock. Hope you are doing well. Did you know that this is the second Friday the 13th in a row? February had one, and now March. That has to be significant in some way or another. Gives a whole new meaning to Freaky Friday, to me. Yeah, but we're going to use the Intuitive Kev's Kipperish deck today and see what messages come up. And we're open to whatever the Spirit has to say on today. Without further ado, here we go. Mature man. Okay. Relationship and high honor. Okay. So this could be someone that is very accomplished in his life. A zaddy. If you're into that sort of thing. No, it's like somebody that's mature, either in age, either in the success and again the achievements and accomplishments that they've made, and or an experience, like they just have a wealth of wisdom because they've been around the world, or they've seen a lot of things, they've experienced a lot of things, encountered many people. And I mean, with high honor, that's a good look, that whatever they've encountered has been done so honorably for the most part. Somebody could be decorated in some type of fashion for their bravery, I'm hearing, maybe in spirit, or their service. Oh, and it doesn't have to be actual service like the actual military. It could just be their service to creation, their service to themselves to stay in integrity, their service in the relationships that they create and in the relationships that they build, is giving somebody that has a good reputation and like has made a good name for themselves. Like if you ask around or if you ask about them, you'd be hard pressed to find somebody that didn't have something good to say or have some type of memory of a good experience. That's cool. That's what's up. And I mean, they're a good catch. I don't know if that means they're in relationship now or, whatever the case may be. This could be someone in question or in consideration for partnership. And even it gives to me like, well, I think I said this already, but their past relationships, even the ones that, may or may not have lasted or, been forever, still were positive in some way, shape, or form. Maybe I'm giving it too much. I don't know. Let's see. Let me get another one on this. Surprise! I don't know what the surprise is. Maybe the surprise is that there actually are good men that exist in this fashion. Or maybe the surprise, that honestly I'm joking, but maybe that could be the source of the sense of surprise, that someone so seasoned has such a stellar record or has a stellar legacy, that they and like they're how it's like when you come across somebody and it's like, why are you still single type of energy, like why, especially older. Well, it's pretty likely, well, I don't know, it's not as questionable usually, I guess, with men, because men can choose to be single and, you know, play the field, or you just be unattached for as long as they want. Usually, I mean, women can too, especially nowadays, but usually the older the woman you encounter, she's most likely to have some type of attachment to the past, whether it's a child, an ex-husband, you know, whatever. It's something. But maybe this is someone that's like really kind of like an anomaly, or what's the other word I always forget? Anomaly, or just something out of the ordinary that's like, wow, all this you've been through. And maybe they've had some experiences in relationships, but they never been married. Maybe they don't have any children. You know, maybe they still want all those things even at their mature age. So all of that could be kind of like a pleasant surprise, or just a surprise in general. But it could also be, let's see, what else could this surprise be? Let's get another one. Because I was getting the sense that it could be some type of like surprise encounter, or a surprise like somebody showing up. You know, I mean, I know we're not really in the season to be welcoming that this year, but maybe it could be a surprise encounter, or you bump into somebody in a serendipitous way, or something like that. Say no more. Okay, what's that? Ooh. And honestly, I was thinking, like, you know, as I'm speaking of it more from the masculine side, but I was thinking that maybe the surprise is that after all this time, you know, they've come across someone that they are interested in committing to. Because that could also be that, like when we talk about service and being in like the armed forces or something like that, that could even be a nod to some type of like commitment or devotion, or, you know, so it's like somebody clearly has that in them, to devote to something for the long term, or for the long run, you know, that is not particularly easy when we consider the army or whatever we're talking about here. So it's like somebody has it in them to be committed for the long run, and they could be surprised to have found inspiration for their commitment in whomever they encounter, this chance encounter with this so-called divine feminine here. Well, not so-called in a dismissive way, but like a parent divine and divine feminine. Maybe that's something that they are high honored because they've maintained a high standard for relationships, and maybe, you know, they just never really quite found the one that would inspire them to lock in for the long haul. And then all of a sudden, after so many years or so many experiences, because remember, this could be age or it could be experiences and encounters, they're like shocked to find that they come across the one, or someone that really does do it for them. Maybe they didn't, maybe they had released the attachment to having that level of fulfillment in their lives, and they just, you know, settled with their own achievements, which is still a good place to be on the masculine or feminine side. Like when you kind of just release it to fate, to chance, to God, to universe, whatever, you know, is outside of your power to control, other than surely the point of choice in the first place, to experience life, experience people, and say yay or nay as you go along. Yeah. So this could be somebody very disciplined, that you definitely have to have a high degree of self-control when you're in the armed forces. To even pursue a career such as that and stick to it, there has to be a great deal of tenacity and even temperance in some ways. Definitely heavy on the discipline and self-control. So again, it gives someone that definitely could be trustworthy. Whoa. Settle down now. Somebody's excited. Oh my goodness, hold on, let me recoup. All right, what's that? Child. I saw this card when I was shuffling too, and the only thing I don't like is why the child gotta be crying. I don't like that part. I don't know. This is a stretch, but I'll say this. You know, it could be, I mean, it could be happy tears. He does have a bit of a smirk on his face. Maybe. I would like to take it in the upright in that regard. And he has an 11 on his shirt, and 9 is on 18, reduces to a 9 on the card. So 9/11, strangely enough, 11/09 is my son's birthday. So that's why, and his eyes are like that too. So that's why I'm really like, I don't like him crying, even if it's happy tears. But if it's upright and these are tears of joy, it could be on account of some like dynamic of family that's been completed finally. You know, that, you know, I'm a single mom, just to make it personal to what I'm projecting here. For me, my choice of relationship is not just, it's, to me, it's not, well, my choice for relationship is so much more selective now because of my son. Like things that I might have taken a chance on or rolled the dice on or just going along for the ride with are not, this kind of out of the question for me at this point, you know. So someone may be able to relate to that and also maintaining a position of selectivity and abstinence, even until you've been assured that something in question or in consideration is not only going to be worth your time, but also good for your offspring. And that could be a child, or that could be your legacy, your future, what you're working on, your own successes and achievements. If you're not encountering someone that's going to add value to that, to support it, that can more or less see the vision, or at least hold space for your vision, then, you know, it's worth waiting for, or continuing to abstain until you do. And just to be totally candid, I have literally told someone, this is when I knew I was grown. It was the person that I was dating kind of casually a long time ago, well, some years ago now. And he was cool, he really was. Like, he was all right. But when it came down to it, I literally had to tell him, like, I think you're good for me, but you're not good for my son. And I felt like I kind of hurt his feelings with that, or stunned him a little bit, honestly. But I, at that point in my life, had really grown into the candor of my expression, to not pull any punches, to not do what I would do, which, you know, in my immaturity, which is just abandon the connection altogether, or just kind of pull back in a way that makes it clear. So I had to tell him, and it was so sincere, you know, that the friendship that we were growing was cool. He was funny, he was cool to be around. But as far as my son was concerned, I couldn't see the connection there. I couldn't see the connection in real time, and I couldn't see the potential for the future. So here it could be that, and I don't, my son thought he was cool or whatever too, but I don't think he was too invested either. Like he was completely indifferent to whether he was around or not, honestly. So I feel like there's something here to say, like, the completion of something that is ideal is like all around beneficial and prosperous for all parties involved, for the man and woman or whatever, the partners and the mature partners involved, and also for the offspring, whether it be person or thing, maybe even place, that is also affected. And maybe, like I said, there's tears of joy because there's like a satisfaction or a settlement. I don't know, like a relief is what I'm getting. Like, to be, and because right now I would imagine in my son's intense Scorpion mind that he feels extremely responsible for me, for my protection, for, for, and that there's nothing I could say, and trust me, I do, try to secure him from that thought and that consumption of thought. But I feel that that's just natural for him, especially with the dynamic between the two of us, that he feels protective, and maybe that could be a relief for him, in the best case scenario, to have a male figure around that can be trusted, that can be depended on in the most in the purest way, and that can also be trusted with his mom, and vice versa for me with him. And it's just like a full circle, whole, complete moment here. Let me get one more and then I'm gonna move on. Rich guy. Yeah. The way my son like to spend money. Oh man, that's funny. He probably like, yes, mama, we made it. Just joking. Oh man, that's funny. Well, that's good. That's a good sign. Like, and I really feel like it signifies more so the stability of this dynamic in the partnership, in the union, in the trifecta of sorts, or whatever the third party or collective consciousness may be here. It's something that is productive, it's prosperous, it's stable, it has great potential for growth, for definitely for the long run, considering that could be like the King of Pentacles here. Somebody that really is stable in their own right, and they bring stability to situations that they invest in or they don't invest in. It's like either they're going to do it or they're not, or they're going to do it all the way, or they're not going to do it at all. That's the type of energy I'm feeling here. And then the other part of that might be with the tears. I have to say this just to say, because it's a consideration to be made of the intensity of change that could overlay even the most prosperous situation, because you could be in a dynamic where you're used to it being just you, or used to just being you and your affairs, your business, your children, your whatever, and then suddenly becomes that dynamic changes, transforms in a way that is a call for adjustment. And in this case, it could even be an inflection of discipline that comes along with that protection and comes along with that providing that a masculine energy brings, but has been probably deficient in some ways, because as a mom, of course, I have to wear both hats, but I am admittedly far more liberal in my rearing of him than probably most moms or dads are, you know. So it could be a question of, you know, adjustment to change, and him being a Scorpio, just saying this as an example, but it's bigger than that, obviously. He's very fixed for the most part. He has his routines, very disciplined in what he, you know, and in his routines and in what he finds value in. Change is usually something that I get as a mutable sign, as a Sagittarius, that I get to buffer kind of for him and with him, you know, to help him navigate it peacefully. That's just real. So there could be, you know, some there could be a need for some allowance for change and adjustment to change for whatever this is. But to me, with the rich guy, that's ending with the rich guy here, it's for the best. It's definitely going to be worth the challenge, if it even is one. All right, let's move on. Thief. I knew it. I was like, I feel something negative. I mean, maybe I shouldn't have even thought it, because here it is. Thief. What about this thief? Looking to steal some actual money. So is this someone on the outskirts? I hope it's not this here mature man here. Come on. I don't think so, though. That was just way too positive for it. This feels like a different energy. Maybe somebody looking from the sidelines, looking from the outside in with some type of grudge, or what do they say? Like a axe to bury or something like that. What's that phrase? Something like that. Yeah, I think that's it. But they could be observing or spectating from a distance or from the outside, looking in at this prosperous situation unfolding here. And the prosperity, I mean, this says actual money, okay? It says actual money, but it could even still just be, like I said, the value that they assign to whatever it is that this is amounting to or has potential to amount to. And they either want some of it, want to interrupt it, to block it. If they can't steal it altogether, you know, they would want to be able to transmute this energy for some benefit of their own, if possible. Let's see what else. Because I mean, there's no question whatsoever, which is why it's so much, why the energy is strong here for prosperity in the first place. That when you are in a healthy partnership, everybody thrives. The partners themselves, and of course, again, the offspring that they either create together or that they nurture together. So, you know, there could be, on account of this dynamic coming into fruition, or materializing however it may, there could definitely be it could be there could be a target on it, you know. Is that a matter to worry about? Never. But to be aware, sure. It could even be someone trying to steal this opportunity from happening, you know, from this occurrence, from this not occurrence, acquaintance from being made in the first place, to keep it from being prosperous. And then that usually, you know, for a thief, transmutes into something prosperous, maybe even profitable for them in this case. But they looking at the wrong things because they're seeing the money. What's that? Moving on. Yeah. They're seeing the money. They need to move on. That's what they need to do, because this is something. Yeah, look at this. Legal. U.S. Department. While they watching, somebody watching them, or a higher authority. I was about to say, honestly, with this money coming from the clouds, like, this is some type of gift or fated occurrence, transfer of energy, wealth, whatever it is protected. And the sheer intention to intrude is illegal, at least in the spiritual sense, if not actually. So somebody could be overstepping their bounds to keep their eye on something, like stalking or intruding in spaces, that they have no business in, even virtually, perhaps. My nose just went crazy, itching. Yeah, and they're definitely, they're either engaging in something or planning to engage in something that's going to land them in big trouble, and more than just the spiritual sense. So we're not just talking about spiritual court or spiritual, even as hell, if it's just that, it's really a problem, because you might have a better chance in physical court than in the spiritual one, because there's no, the ultimate witness is the eye that sees all. So there's no evidence needed in that regard. So somebody's just really doing too much, or plotting to do too much. False narrative. Yeah, like, that could be another way. I'm hearing like defamation of character. That could be another way that somebody or imposes an interruption on this, whatever this is, by spreading false information. Yeah, it could be somebody keeping someone from pursuing some type of dynamic or partnership, or from extending a proposition on account of some information that's being circulated or being told straight to that source. It's a bit of a stretch, but it could be the case. Yeah. Defamation of character, or what's the other one? I think libel. One of them is business, one of them is something else. I forget the difference. Against the rising star, 7-7 here. Yeah, something that has so much potential, inevitable potential, and somebody just can't. 113 as my phone lights up. Somebody just can't accept not having access to that prosperity for themselves, whether they be able to create it in their own life, which obviously they can't if they have to steal someone else's, not authentically anyway. Yeah, it's like somebody trying to steal someone's fate. And when I was thinking Freaky Friday, of course, we know the movie where, they switch places. Who is that? What's her name? I think it's Jamie Lee Curtis and what's old girl's name with the red hair from The Parent Trap? You know who I'm talking about. Shoot, I can't think of her name, but I know if you know the movie, you know who I'm talking about. That movie came to mind when I thought of Freaky Friday. And So it could be someone like really trying to just exchange their fortune for something else that seems a bit more favorable, at least to their likings anyway. Or again, to just keep it from happening from someone if they can. Like, if I can't have it, neither can you. Community here. Might be a whole community of people or a whole group of spectators, stalkers, folks posing as supporters, fans, maybe even, that are really just kind of biding their time to stick around for whatever this release of prosperity may be, or glean from whatever scraps they can of it. And maybe to some degree there, there is a community that authentically does support this partnership. Maybe it could be a foreshadowing of how maybe that's what someone is seeing in the future. The potential for something to gain public notoriety and attention, or be fascinating on a larger scale. Maybe the story of the partnership, or again, what comes out of it, is going to have some type of mass appeal, and that's what they really want, or that's what they are resistant to. Because like I said, when you get in a good dynamic, somebody that really supports you, understands you, or at least really is committed to doing so, you're both protective of each other's well-being. You're both allow the liberty for individuality even within the partnership and all of that good stuff, like something that really truly is healthy. There is no limit to how much you can really grow and how much you can achieve individually and collectively as a unit. And whatever is to amount from that, or at least from what someone can see, they're like, oh, hell no. Because you could be all by yourself, already as is. So to have something like added to someone, or something to add value to that, that's a scary situation for somebody. It's a nightmare. And they just can't sit by and let it happen. Let me try to get one more. Over there. Let me not say that, because I don't have no evidence for it. Yeah, pathway. Like I said, it's like something really special here that is destined as it is, but then it opens more doors, more opportunities, more ways to expand and create, and makes the road to your destiny not only easier most times, but also more enjoyable. More scenic even, because when you're going the distance, like consider even going on a road trip with someone that you really enjoy the company of, you ain't really too pressed about when you're going to get there, or even what you're going to do when you get there. That's the added bonus. The trip itself is cool when you're riding along somebody that you actually want to spend the time with. So that part is the part that is provocative of jealousy and envy, because it's something that is not so common in relationships. People get into commitments for all sorts of reasons, but a lot of times the reason you got in is usually not the reason why you stay. And many times you could find yourself in a commitment where you know, certain boxes are checked, but certainly not all of the ones that make it most enjoyable, like maybe their stability with your two incomes, or just having someone there to share the load of your children or of your responsibilities, or you just have so much time in that you don't want to start over, or you're not too sure about what else is out there if you were to, so many reasons. But when it's something so pure as like, not only do I love this person, but I like this person, I really enjoy them being around, I'd rather them be around than not. Not everybody can say that. That's really a gift. That's really a gift. And it's something that's worth waiting for and holding out for, of which you would have to really, again, have the discipline, the discernment, the commitment to yourself to abstain for. Otherwise, you could be married in the next year if that's what you truly desire to be. Happily married, though, is the question. Will it be that? Maybe, maybe not. But you can find somebody. You can find somebody to keep your bed warm. Ice Queen. Ooh. Wow. Look at that. That's like the Queen of Swords, I believe. So we got the Ice Queen here. Let's see. Oh, bruh. The Divine Masculine in reverse. Oh, this is what I'm getting. Somebody stuck with an Ice Queen. They made their choice, they made their bed, and they're lying in it, and that's why they looking at you like, damn, I want that over there. Or like I said, this is the dynamic that I'm speaking of, where there's not, and this is, the Ice Queen in this regard, this is somebody that's not too keen on emotions. And maybe she has good reason, especially if she's with a Divine Masculine in reverse. So this could be somebody that's toxic, that's manipulative, that's immature, the very opposite of what we had going on over here, okay? The very opposite, so, and the Queen of Swords in the traditional deck could even be like a divorcee to the King of Swords, but this could just be like just a relationship that is loveless. Maybe it is what I'm talking about, where it's contractual only. There's some reason that these two are adjoined, and it's not because of love and pure commitment. There's a commitment to some cause or some outcome or some motive, but it's not to the person themselves or to each other, per se. Wow, let me see. Unexpected money. Maybe because they're joined for, like I said, for financial purposes or financial benefits. There's money that they could be anticipating making together, or hell, here it is, working together to apprehend this fortune over here and transfer that wealth to themselves, which wouldn't happen because in a dynamic such as this, somebody's going to cheat somebody. Somebody's going to be the odd man out. They'll both be the odd man out at some point, but somebody's definitely going to cheat somebody and take all that they feel they're due. And most likely it'll probably be the Divine Masculine in reverse getting cheated, because at least the Ice Queen is upright. She's just cold and heartless as the wind is blowing hard outside. Yeah, like this is what they're invested in, trying to wait out some financial return or forge a financial, some type of profit by their their connection. For example, it could be like a social media couple that gets money together. They have sponsorships already, or some type of, is it sponsorships or yeah, like some type, they have contracts that they're joined to, where if the two of them are not included, it's like they're kind of a package deal is what I'm trying to say. They're a package deal. So could even just be a fear that if they separate, they're going to lose out on a great deal. And so they hang in there so they can still try to get as much out of this situation as they possibly can. But in the meantime, they both despise it, and they're looking for ways to trump the other, and looking for ways to perhaps maybe not communicate it to one another, but they're looking for ways to come up enough so that maybe they can finally part ways. It's like hit another lick somewhere else that doesn't depend on them, presenting themselves as a unit, and then finally be able to retire that image or that illusion. The Ice Queen, though, like, she could be real mean. Real mean. And that's probably what's stunting the growth of this divine masculine in reverse, because, man, like the Bible says, a man who findeth a wife findeth a good thing. But like a real wife, not just a wife for play or for show or for sponsorship. Like somebody that you really mesh with, that really is your sacred partner, your divine partner, not something that you just forced yourself into or got forced into or manipulated into. So this man's never going to grow in a commitment such as that. And the Ice Queen is never going to warm up to really be the attractive force that she desires to be on her own in that condition either, being so heartless and closed to love. Like love is just a tool for her, a means to an end. What'd I say? Occupation. It's just a job. Damn, love is just a job? Or this relationship is just a job? That's wild. That's crazy. Oh my gosh. And neither opposition here. Yeah, this is like a really toxic situation. It's not good for either one of them. Somebody gonna get hurt if they aren't already getting hurt emotionally, if not actually, because it's something is not in this season. These type of dynamics are, shoot, wait till we go into Aries, particularly with all the planets that are in Aries now and on their way. You're not going to be able to subdue an explosive situation, but for so long. It's going to implode. It has to be authentic and pure, or nothing at all at this point. Unless you were going to, stay committed to an abusive situation, again, for some type of monetary return. But that would be crazy. And this could be someone that is verbally abusive, and maybe maybe that's what her forte is. Like, her mouth is so crazy that she will push you to the edge to make you want to put pause on her, and then you'll be condemned for that. Or that could be the setup of how somebody wants to, you know, set somebody up for legal issues or whatever, like kind of get them out the way, painting them to be someone that is abusive. To, yeah, like to separate them or to isolate them, and ultimate, oh damn, now this is real specific. But if they're married and she paints someone as abusive, gets them locked up, she has all access to their joint finances, and perhaps his too, independently, and can take all of that and start over, go find some other lick somewhere. Oh my God. So why this fucker looking at something outside of his jurisdiction, somebody need to be focused at what's going on right at home, right under their nose. Oh my goodness. Mature woman. Yeah, it's like somebody is more hip to the game than they may let off. That's what I'm getting here. Or they might have a mama in on it. That could be it too. Like, it's a tag team situation. Or his mama in on it. Wouldn't that be crazy? I doubt it though. Not an ice queen. She might probably work with her own mom or mother figure, but she probably ain't gonna work with nobody else's that ain't blood. Yeah. Ooh. There's some type of plot over here, some type of scheme that is not going to fare out very well for anybody involved. Because even with her, like I said, everybody gonna get hurt because she's all beat up and bruised. Now, whether it's I heard this earlier, like what's that movie with Martin? A Thin Line Between Love and Hate. Ooh, yup. Where she beat herself up and then said Martin did it. Or Darnell, I think it was his name. Brandy and Darnell. That could be significant. But and what's that what's her name? I want to give her respect too. Martin Lawrence, and I can't think of her name. It's right on the tip of my tongue. I can't think of her name. But anyway, yeah, it could be a situation like that where that's, she real crazy and really will go the distance to pull something off. Or, like I said, she literally pushed someone to the edge to really make it authentic, to want to put pause on, or actually put pause on, so that, the separation could be justified. Because when they come to your house for some type of domestic domestic dispute, they look for who has physical bruises first, and then they take the other person, so, or sometimes they take both depending on what state you're in. But usually the person that looks the worst is going to be assumed to be the victim. Oh no. And the male obsession card came up yesterday, and the female's coming up today. Lord have mercy. Oh yeah. This is just a backfire of karma, or a karmic debt coming up for retribution for whatever lie, of a relationship was committed to here, and also whatever commitments were made to sinister plots or immoral activities or endeavors and ambitions here. Like these two were thick as thieves, and it was good when it was profitable overall. There was, no harm done, no foul. But I get the sense that, it's, well, just because of the spirit of the times is probably why it's really not so profitable anymore to carry on in such a way. The money ain't coming as quick as it used to, and there aren't as many opportunities to make it. So people start to get very uncomfortable, very impatient, especially when that is the motivation for the matrimony, so to speak, in the first place. Like when there's that, when you eliminate that aspect, what's left? That's why I'm saying it's like a pure commitment is something where it ain't about money. Y'all could be broke together and still enjoy your day, or have hella bills and responsibilities and still find peace in your togetherness. But when it's built on stability, and that's in the mild sense, financial, some type of financial commitment, or seeing the potential to make more or do more, just surely that because of someone else's presence, it's faulty. It's a faulty foundation, and it won't last. The bottom will fall out, and it'll be every man for themselves at some point. Child, that's a mess. Yeah, because the obsession is turned up. The lust for what was, a common interest here it has become a liability. That's what I hear. And so therefore, each of the other has become a liability to the other. So that's why they're both plotting on a way to find a separation. But I get the sense that the feminine energy here is much more cold. She's colder at the game than this masculine. Maybe a woman scorned. I don't know, but I get the sense that that's just the nature of that frequency there. Ascending, wow, yeah, 98. Because this is what should be happening in a productive dynamic. Ooh, as opposed to poverty. Damn. Two different sides of the spectrum here. Somebody's ascending into prosperity and someone's descending into poverty. And they have nobody to blame but themselves and the choices that they made. Because that quick fix, that quick dollar, that sure shot, that sure thing that they thought would give them at least, they may or may not have ever thought that it would amount to an eternal commitment. But the immediate gratification was a fair exchange in their mind for a temporary sacrifice. Maybe actually, but at least energetically, of what would truly have been something more prosperous or a better choice to make for themselves. The money was too good, and maybe every time there was an opportunity to separate or to literally to step into divine masculine energy or divine feminine energy and elevate their mindset to perceive of more fruitful possibilities for themselves in the long run, maybe something came in that kept them around a little bit longer, or maybe a debt even kept them entangled for a little bit longer, committed to something that wasn't honorable, that wasn't honest, that wasn't true. And the more, like, the deeper the debt became, it's like the assets at some point in time didn't level out. Like, for all that they could make, you know, in this dynamic, they were actually accruing that much more debt. So it just became a pitfall. Well, you know, like I said, even if there was a potential threat for this energy against something that's good happening or underway, in a second, they're going to have too much to worry about to really engage. And the universe is on it anyway, because the universe is protecting its assets at this time. The divine is protecting its assets. So any threat to that is going to be immediately faced with force. And then, on account of the intention and the ambition alone, you know, you incur even more debt. So it's just not even worth it. Ascension is the centrical focus, or the centric. I always make that word up. Is it centric or centrical? Centric should be the centric focus at this time for everyone. Just elevating your perspective and your vibration to attract to the highest frequency you possibly can, not just for the short term, but for the long run. Like, what's really going to be sustainable for the long term, and maybe even eternally, if you can have the foresight and insight for that far ahead. I pray you do, and stay clear of any dynamics such as this, you know, especially in this season, because like I said, this is the time. I know I wasn't sharing my personal story for no reason, but this is the time to initiate entanglements that end up like this. And I really don't wish that on anyone, not a soul, because it just perpetuates more fear, more poverty, more scarcity in the consciousness for us to transmute collectively. We don't need that. So anyway, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Happy Freaky Friday. Enjoy your weekend. And until next time, as always, I'll leave you with peace.